Hi guys, I recently had an email from somebody who said to me, "Hi Ken, thank you so much for your video on 5 reasons why everybody should start a business. The one thing most people do not talk about are some of the things you should not do when you start a business." And I thought that was a really interesting point that we don't often talk about what we've learned from our mistakes and the things we should not do before we start a business. So today I'm going to share with you 7 things that you should absolutely make sure you do not do before you start your own business. My name's Ken of the Humble Penny and Financial Joy Academy. What we do on this channel is give you the tips, the insights, the practical hacks to help you work towards a dream life of financial independence and money joy. Right, let's dive straight in and start to unpack these. I'm quite excited about them because I've learned an awful lot on my business journey and made many mistakes. So hopefully these ideas will help you see the things that you should absolutely make sure you think about differently so that you can have business success. The first one's don't start a business with no opportunity for scale. I know this personally because I started a tuition business with a friend and we thought it was a great idea. We're really excited about it. And this business was built on the model of a tuition center. So we'd hire a room in a building and we would offer some tuition. But the problem we had was that it was absolutely difficult to start to make that business make more money over time. And that got us really, really frustrated. In fact, it's one of the reasons we thought, this business idea is perhaps not one that we can grow as quickly as we would like, okay? So you should absolutely make sure that before you start a business, think to yourself, how can this business potentially grow over time? How can it start to become really sustainable as quickly as possible and have the potential for scale? So you might not fully know what the scale might look like, but at least you know what the potential might look like, i.e. what pathway you could follow to try to grow that business. The second one is don't start a business you think people want, start a business you know people want. The reason I mention this is that a great deal of us talk about starting a business because we're passionate about it. I am all for passion, but you've got to absolutely make sure that you don't create and spend all this time creating something that when you then put it out there in the real world, no one wants it, no one wants to pay for it. So you've got to start with the audience in mind, the customers in mind. What is the problem that your business is trying to solve? This is where you have to start. You've got to begin with the transformation, okay? You might have heard this saying, which is that you should sell futures, not features, okay? So don't obsess over creating something that you want to create. Focus on creating something that really adds value to people and solves their problem. E.g., it might save them more time, it might save them more money, it might get them somewhere a lot quicker, it might even make them more money. Who knows? In some way, it adds tangible value to their lives. And if you can focus on highlighting what that value is and testing it out in the marketplace, then the feedback you get should be what then informs you that this is a business worth focusing on. Number 3 is don't focus on spending money when you start a business. Instead, focus on thinking about how can I make this business become as sustainable as possible right from the get-go, i.e. the quicker you can get that business to start to generate its own income, the more likely it is that business is one that has some possibilities for the future, has some viability. A lot of us just obsess over wanting to make things look perfect. We go and print beautiful business cards, we go and build beautiful websites. All these things are pushing us below the red, when instead we should be out there testing our ideas and seeing if people put their hands in their pockets and dig out their cards and actually pay for our services or our products. That's the ultimate, that's the litmus test that your business idea has some viability. It's solving some problem out there and people are paying for it, okay? So in some ways, you should be focusing on making money right from the get-go rather than just spending money. Number 4 is don't ignore the online world. Now, as somebody who's operated both offline and online, I can tell you categorically that my favorite type of business is an online business. Simply because you can start with very little bits of resources and you can see that have huge impact. So a big mistake a lot of us make when we start business is that we ignore the online world and not realize what huge impact we can have. You can literally feel football stadiums in terms of the reach you can have through a very limited amount of resources from your own home by incorporating an element of online into your business. Better still, explore starting an online business because it's one that you can start with very little bits of capital and find it having the capacity to grow a lot quicker in very short periods of time. I'm going to put a link below to a video I made recently and above on how you can start an online business in 7 days. So feel free to check that out if you're interested. Next is don't try to do it all alone. So a massive misconception is that doing things by yourself helps you to save money, okay? Now that might be okay at the very beginning, but you've got to be somebody who is thinking, if this business I'm starting is something that I want to grow over time, then I've got to get other people involved somehow, get other people's talent involved, get other people's time involved in order for you to have a lot more scale, okay? In terms of your reach and what you're able to do and put out on a daily basis. I'm in this position myself as somebody who runs an online business. I started out just by myself, and now my wife helps out, and now we've got a virtual assistant on board. We've even got somebody who does a bit of tech for us. But this is because I'm using the little bits of time I have and giving that time a lot more power and a lot more reach in order for us to be able to deliver content to you guys more consistently and for us to grow and remain sustainable as well. Number 6 is don't build the perfect business. This might sound really strange. You're thinking, what on earth am I talking about? Well, here it is. A lot of us over-obsess about our business ideas before we've even started them. We spend so much time planning, creating business plans, writing all these things out. In fact, we spend so much time that we become overwhelmed and our businesses don't actually leave our minds, okay, or our little document we've written, our business plans. They never actually become a thing that gets out there and solves real problems. So what you have to do is to keep the beginning stage as simple as possible. What you really want to do is begin to test your ideas. That's by far the best way in which you can start a business. We've done this even with the Humble Penny, okay? We started to create things. We started to put ideas out there for courses we want to create, for example, and see if these are things that people were interested in. We listened to their problems, and then we started to create. We put a minimum viable product out there and let people judge what we put out there, okay? So I'd say don't overplan, but get started. Put stuff out there and get the feedback. Number 7 is to start with a service in mind rather than a product. I mention this because a lot of us already have capabilities that we can offer as services, but instead it's quite easy to be lured into the idea of starting a product, which often can cost you a lot of money to get going. So I'd say if you are somebody out there looking to start a business, focus on what skill sets you already have and try to connect those skill sets to what problems there are in the real world, okay? Because if you can do that, you can begin with very little bits of resources in order to offer your services, perhaps as a freelancer, as a consultant, as a coach. In some way or another, you'll be able to connect, swap in that resource and put in some value to it, putting up a paywall, and therefore charging a service to solve a problem out there. What that does, and that's the beauty of it, it helps you build up income very quickly, and you start to find that your new business becomes profitable very quickly. Now you can then think about reinvesting some of those profits that you've generated into creating a product if it's something that you'd like to do. But remember, products typically suck up money right at the very beginning with no great promise for becoming a success in the near future. Okay, so I'd say start with a service and either stick with doing services or reinvest some of those profits from those services into then creating a product. But do it in that order, not the other way around. Right, I've got a bonus one I'm going to throw in, which is don't jump into the wrong partnerships. I'm going to give you a really practical example of this. I mentioned the tuition business I started years ago with a friend of mine, and I love this friend of mine. We're really good friends and we get on so well. And I thought this would be a really good partnership for that reason. I've known this person for a long time. We've got trust and, all these various things. But it was one key missing ingredient. We had different visions for where we saw this business going. And where you have different visions, then you're essentially not building a great foundation for what might then become a great business. Because what that meant was that I had my ideas for where I thought this thing might go. I wanted it to grow really quickly. I wanted to get out there and expand and so on. his ideas were different entirely. He wanted to focus on a particular area of the business rather than trying to scale it too quickly, which was actually valid. But the key point was that our visions were different, and we did not establish right at the very beginning what our visions were for the business, as well as making sure that our values entirely aligned with each other. So don't jump into the wrong partnerships. In fact, you can get started on your own, but hire the right people around you gradually over time. When I talk about hiring, please do not get overwhelmed by the idea of it. What I mean is that you can get the right people around you. You can get freelancers quite cheaply via the internet all over the world to help you build that dream business that you want to bring into the world. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you've enjoyed this video. Please let me know in the comments below if you love these type of videos, if you'd love me to share a lot more on business ideas and business tips to help you become more of a success on your business journey. Let me know in the comments if you are looking to start a business, whether it's offline or online. I'd love to know what your challenges are in starting a business. I'd love to jump in the comments and offer you some of my tips to help you move forward. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it, subscribe if this is your first time to this channel with this content on a Tuesday and Thursday to offer people unique ideas for how they can work towards creating a dream life of financial independence. Thanks guys, I look forward to seeing you soon on our next video. Take care and bye for now.